What's up, comic fans, and it's time for the new comic book day haul. Plus, we got some 50 centers, so we're gonna get into the books from this week. Plus, we got those 50 centers, and we're gonna do it right after this.
Spartans! What is your profession?
Welcome back, welcome back, welcome back. All right, let's get into the books. First off, we have those 50 centers. Cool, we got the Secret Files and Origins Wonder Woman #1. How Hippolyta became the new Wonder Woman. And if you don't know, we do like little themes. I try to keep within the same theme when we do these books. So this week it's Justice League and Justice League characters, all right? So next up we got Justice League America, giant size, 80-page giant, right? First issue right here, #1. Pretty cool. This is a wraparound. It is not. It's not a wraparound. It looks like it should be a wraparound though, doesn't it? Right, so we had that Wonder Woman 2. Wonder Woman. And then we had that 80-page. Alright, next up. We got Justice League Odyssey. This is #15. This came out during the Year of the Villain. This is pretty cool. This is the Dark Side and the Justice League Odyssey cover here. It's a lenticular, I believe, right? Yeah, look at that. Oh man, look at all those. Are these guys, those guys? I don't know. Anyway, pretty cool. Pretty cool. And then we got, I believe this was the second volume of Justice League Dark, right? And this was the first one run by Wonder Woman. So we got Justice League Dark #1, right? James Tynion was on that one. And last but not least, we got the really cool Alex Ross cover. I think this is just, it's like a $10 book, but I think it's just because it's a really cool Alex Ross cover and it's a black cover, right? So those were my 50 centers. Now let's get into the books from this week. Let's go. Oh shoot. Alright, we're gonna start off with the indies. First off, we have Local Man. This is issue number 11. Alright. And so what we have here in Local Man is, this is basically like the second arc of this story. There's some stuff happening in the town. It's basically like, it looks like a cult is raising up in the town. And Local Man's trying to stop that. So also while he's trying to reconcile what happened in the first volume of the book, right? Next up, we got Gunslinger #33. And Javi in this book is kind of, you know, he's not satisfied. He's trying to get revenge on those individuals who killed his sister. But he's also brought in, I think her name's Linda, brought in a lady, the cleaning lady from the motel he was staying at. He's kind of got her in a rut, so I think he's trying to reconcile that. It shows a little human side to Gunslinger, and at the end of it, the sheriffs show up, or the police department, but he knows them as the sheriffs, right? Because he's from the West. He's actually been sent through time from the wild, wild West to the current period, and that's what he knows. All right. Next up, we're still in the Spawn universe. I haven't read this yet, but this is Sam and Twitch Case Files #4. Alright, and this is a Todd McFarlane book, so he, at the very least, he did the plots for this one. And you can see Sam and Twitch are in the crossfire. So, yeah, I haven't read it yet. I read issue 1, it was decent. So we'll see, I have 2, 3, and then I have 4. It's a little wacky with like the word bubbles, so be aware of that if you pick it up. You know, it might throw you off a little bit. Next up, we have the Holy Roller. This is issue 7 of 9. Rick Remender and Andy Samberg on this book. It has really gotten to the superhero level. There's a whole fight in here with his friends on who's the sidekick and who's the hero. It's got some really good comedy in there. If you love dogs, though, you might want to stay away from this issue, okay? And keep in mind, it's a comic book, so and it's done in a kind of funny way. I won't tell you what happens to the dog. Spoiler alert, though. Not good things. But yeah, it's a fun book. It's got some real interesting aspects to it. Okay, we got the Holy Roller fighting off the neo-Nazis, and an app that turns people who use the app into like kind of a mindless mob, and those who don't use the app get beat up by that mindless mob. And the Holy Roller, his power is bowling balls, so throwing bowling balls really well. It's an interesting book. All right, next up we have Scarlet #2, right? Part of the Energon verse and G.I. Joe. We have Scarlet infiltrating a secret organization to save her friend, or not to save her friend, but to find out what her friend Jinx is up to. She thought Jinx was kind of lost, but during a mission bumps into Jinx and now is infiltrating the secret society to see what's up with Jinx and to see if Jinx is in trouble. We have Storm Shadow on the cover along with Scarlet. This was cover B, but also like the secret variant cover. Part of me just thinks that they didn't actually have the final artwork for this, and they were like, let's just make it a variant, secret variant, because it's cover B. It's not like it's an extra book, But anyway, that's what it is. Storm Shadow and Scarlet on that book. I'm surprised a lot of people haven't jumped on that, especially with Storm Shadow on the book. All right, we're going to switch gears. We're now at DC. We have Absolute Power beginning this week, right? And I guess Absolute Power kind of started last week, and there's been a lot of previews for it, but Absolute Power #1, issue #1, came out this week. With that, we have tie-in. We have Batman. This is issue 150, right? Chip Zdarsky on here, Jorge Jimenez. So it says Absolute Power tie-in, but that's the secondary story, okay? The first story in here is just Batman. It's not even Batman-centric. It's actually about a guy who finds out, when Catwoman was training people to be cat burglars, right? To kind of, make sure the wealthy in the town had something to fear, I guess, and also to make sure the downtrodden weren't attacking each other. Catwoman, trained a bunch of people to be cat burglars. This one guy kind of comes across who Batman is, his real identity, right? Or his secret identity. And he goes around trying to sell it, and it causes more harm than good, okay? So Batman in this book finds the guy's son, who is also kind of running down that same path, puts him into Gotham U, and basically tells the guy, I have a job for you in Metropolis and a new secret identity, so you can start over, because things really get bad for that guy, because he knows the secret identity, and guys like Two-Face don't want that to come out because they like the duality of Batman, right? So interesting. And then there's a secondary story where Batman is trying to save Cyborg from Amanda Waller. So good stuff in there. And then we have Absolute Power. Boom, and we have the Amazos, like the whole plan set up here. Failsafe is kind of leading this army of Amazos who are stealing the powers of all the heroes here. Superman gets shot in the chest. That shouldn't come as a surprise because a lot of DC books had the preview showing that scene. So that's been the big preview since Free Comic Book Day. Has been Superman's going to lose his powers and get shot in the chest. But yeah, this is the beginning of everything. I won't give away too much. I mean, I've already given up the main way these Amazos are stealing the powers of the superheroes, but Amanda Waller is a person on a mission. All right, switching gears again. Now we're on Marvel. We're going to start off with a Star Wars book. We have Star Wars Inquisitors. This is issue #1. What's good about this book? I don't know. You got the Inquisitors, and they're traveling the universe looking for. It's a new Jedi. I forget his name, but it's literally in the opening. So what's his name? Tensu Run, right? So they're after this. At the command of Darth Vader, right? The Inquisitors are after this Tensu Run guy. And, this is after Order 66. So they're just, taking out all the Jedi. that's what you have. You have here a story about the Inquisitors looking for a Jedi, one in particular that's very powerful and has also managed to elude the Inquisitors. At the end of this comic, he decides that he's been running enough and he's going to go head up with the Inquisitors, right? So we have that happening in this book. Well, at the end of the book, we have that being set up for the next book, all right? So Tensu Run is going to stop running. Next up, and I also got Star Wars High Republic, I believe it was issue number 9 this week. And I have no idea after I read it what I did with it. So it's not with me, but I'll tell you in that one, we have one of the Jedi seemingly cross over to the dark side. So we're going to see if that sticks, all right? So if you've been reading High Republic or you want to jump into High Republic, one of the original characters from Volume 1, we're now in Volume 3, may have switched sides. Okay, let's continue on to the books I actually have in hand at the moment. We have The Amazing Spider-Man #1. This is the Infinity Watch. This has nothing to do with the regular Amazing Spider-Man line. This has everything to do with this Infinity Watch, where Thanos is looking for these, looking again for the Infinity Stones, right? And they're all inside of a person, right? So they all have individual people leading them. This guy here, I forget his name. It's like 2 different, like, new people. This is actually one of the guys who has one of the stones. What's his name? I forget. Anyway, and there's a new bad guy here, and Spider-Man. This guy's a time traveler, and he has the time stone. Has to deal with this guy, and during the fight, he finds out that this other dude in the back dies because, you know, Spider-Man wraps him up, and the guy just overloads his powers, and boom. So this guy does Spider-Man a favor, goes back in time and saves him, and you know, Spider-Man's like, "Are you really a bad guy or are you a good guy? Because, you know, you did some things, you saved some people." It's kind of one of those stories, and it, you know, in the end of it, we have a couple of the Infinity Stone, Infinity Watch people meeting up. So we got Venom number 35. Right, this seems to be setting up the Venom War story, and in the solicitations. Didn't really say it was like a prelude to whatever, but this is pretty much, this is the prelude, right? This is setting it up. We get a visit at the end of the book. Dylan is trying to contact his dad, and a guy shows up and he's like, "Dad," and he's like, "Well, I'm a Brock," but it's actually Dylan from the future. Now, we've seen Dylan from the future in the Donny Cates run, but this is like a different Dylan, all right? So this Dylan looks like more like a Cable than he did, you know, when Donny Cates was writing it. So, I mean, we'll see what happens there. But anyway, you're gonna have a bunch of Venoms fighting each other if you're into that, you know, symbiote on symbiote crime. All right, next up, we're still at Marvel, but we're gonna get into the Blood Hunt event happening right now. So we have Blood Hunters in this one. All right, so it's an anthology book. It's got a couple of stories in here. One seemed a lot like a filler, like it had come out before, okay? Because we had like Hell Cow in this book, and I was like, what exactly does Hell Cow have to do with this? It was a fun story though, it was fun. We have Dr. Doom here, you know, saving a fellow Latverian, but not without consequence, because this Latverian worked for the embassy, and, you know, was kind of an expat, if you will, because they didn't like Doom being a, you know, dictator, you know, authoritarian, you know, wanted more of a democratic system. But Doom saves all Latverians, and then, you know, it's like, "You're gonna work for me now." So that's kind of what happens there. And then we have Cloak finding out that her powers may save people from being vampires. So cool. Now we have another tie-in. We have Doctor Strange Blood Hunt. And basically what happens is Victor Strange takes over Doctor Strange's body, which has been vacated because Doctor Strange has to go into his astral form to not be a vampire. Things happen. Baron Mordo is called on. One of Doctor Strange's biggest enemies, right? Bats the dog works with Baron Mordo to conjure up a big dog god, and then the dog god makes Bats Batson's his dog, by the way, if you haven't been reading Doctor Strange. It's Doctor Strange's ghost dog. It makes Bats into his avatar, which turns him into a giant, godlike dog spirit creature. And then they defeat Victor Strange and vacate the body. So, and then Baron Mordo is like, make sure that body is, 100%. And Doctor Strange gets back in there because when I beat him, I want to beat him at full strength. So, they're back to being enemies. Next up, we got Miles Morales, Spider-Man number 22. What we have in here is basically a setup where Miles, Dracula, and Blade's daughter, right? What's her name? I'm drawing a blank. But anyway, I'll remember it like right after. Are going to kind of join forces to bring down Blade. To kind of stop, what's happening with all the Blood Hunt stuff. That's it for the Blood Hunt books this week. And then last but not least, we got the only issue of Moon Knight, Fist of Khonshu 0 that was at my LCS. It says 15. I don't think I really paid 15. I think it was like 12 or whatever. Or 10 because I had like $5 off. This book seems to be going for about $35 now on eBay with some sales like 2 days ago, like $60. Crazy. I haven't ripped it open yet because I might just sell it to make some money back, from the hobby. But they didn't have any covers of the 0, but they had this guy, so I saw what it was going for and I picked it up. But yeah, here it is. Really cool cover. And this is probably the hottest book of the week. So when 22 does his top 10 alternatives, this book will probably be listed on that as one of the top 10 books for the week listed. And he does, there's a little chat contest that happens of who got the most books from the week. And a couple of weeks I've managed to bring it home. So this week I'll have probably one of the harder books to find. So I have one up on everybody on 22's top 10 alternatives, which you can check out as part of the Monday night lineup. All right. And he's on at 9 on the Monday night lineup. All right. 22 comics. So check that out. Top 10 alternative comics for the week. All right. So comic fans, that was my comic haul, all right, with the 50 centers, all right? So do what you do, I'm gonna do what I do. I'm gonna get ready for next week's books. If you like the content, don't forget to like, subscribe, hit the notification bell. Go ahead and throw me a thumbs up and comment down below. Thank you so much. Peace and deuces.
So every week when we do 50 centers, we have a theme, and this week's theme is going to be
I picked up some ratio variants, and we're gonna get it all.